Good job we've got the good people like my lord here to tell me that I'm muted. Same thing with the nice music, that was muted as well. Not anymore. What shall we draw? Ooh. Draw a big cube. There you go, it's so big that it's like miles and miles away. Maybe we can like just about see the bottom of it. How's that? Hello, Horik. This is like I don't know. I'm imagining that this is a sort of old lady. Sticking her neck out. You decided to buy some oils. That's good. You're gonna do some oil painting. We like to see some oil painting. I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, it's very fun. Oil painting, it's very, very fun. What a wacky... Aren't hands weird? Hands are so funky. You can just make them these wacky... wacky, strange shapes. And they still work. They still work. As long as you got 5 fingers going on. No one's gonna bat an eye. Hands and feet. No, I think we can draw a foot. There's a big toe. Here are some more toes. I will say I'm not as good at drawing the feet as having... Oh, I've accidentally gone to colour button. As having as much like dexterity. Like I'm imagining this. This is the front of the foot, and it's like scrunched up. But it begins to just look a bit like a hand, doesn't it? Or like a very ape-like foot. Oh no, we're on the wrong layer. Faces are much harder. Let's just do it all, shall we? We've got like a little cherub. Oh. Yeah, I get you when you say that faces have more structure, maybe. I think everything is just a series of rhythms. Everything, if you think about it, is just a T line. Is like a maybe an interesting way of thinking about something. You have these T lines, and T lines is where one thing is overlapping another, right? And so you can begin to like build out 3D forms where you just have lines overlapping other lines. So that's another T line. You know, where these two meet, what's gonna overlap? I think it would be worth figuring out why you struggle with a particular thing. Ooh, ugh. Why would his arm do that? All your faces turn out old looking. Yeah, I get that. Case in point. I think it's very easy to make someone look older than you intend them to be. Ooh. Ooh. Any tips on visualizing or understanding form better? Tips? There are a few things I'm thinking about. So these T lines are one thing. Thinking about something is always coming in front of something else. It's very rare that you get two forms that just line up perfectly, and that sort of becomes a tangent. I think you're always going to get one form overlap another form. So I guess we can say overlap. And we can describe that with T lines. That's one. Another thing I think is compression of information. So it's very easy to draw lines on a box like that. But you're probably going to get something more like this one, where information is compressed along the edge, right? And wider at the sides. Which means there's more information along the edges. I think that's a really strong. So that's like, I guess, surface detail, we could say. But I mean, a surface detail in this case is like lines or spots, but it's just as easily, here's a face, like this eyebrow and this eyebrow, you know, we've got, they're condensing in different ways. Same thing with the eye. What else is good for visualizing forms? I mean, I guess in essence, I am always thinking about the 3D nature of something. I think these are really useful to do. And I do them a lot. Just silhouettes of stuff. Oh, hello, Jake. I'm going for a bit. I've got nothing going on. But I think visualizing the silhouette of something. I think sometimes, you could be drawing a cube, but you might build it up with like individual planes. Like that works, but I think it's a different kind of exercise to just visualize the 3D object as a whole. So like I'll do it a lot with cylinders, and I'm imagining that this ellipse is more compressed than this ellipse because it's like getting closer or further away from a horizon line. But it's great to do with cubes, and you can do it with like beveled cubes and all sorts. Like you know what that shape is. You know exactly what it is, even though I haven't drawn that second or interior line. And so a lot of the time when we're drawing things like faces, excuse me. A lot of the time when we're drawing things like faces, we're essentially doing the same thing. Like this shape that I'm putting down, you could say that it has a front plane and a side plane, but I'm not drawing that dividing line. I'm just understanding that this is an object that has the sort of turn in form inside of that silhouette. But essentially it's the same thing. So like when I'm thinking about a person's jaw, I'm thinking here is my cube. As the jaw goes around here, it's going up, and then you have something like an ear, and you might have some kind of notch on the front as well. We could then imagine that we've got some kind of cylindrical form for the mouth or whatever else. But I don't need to draw it like that. Like I could just draw a cube that has that turn in form. Without actually drawing the turn in form, and it begins to feel nice and 3D. I hope that makes sense. So I guess we would call this, it's not really a principle, but it's like a practice that we can engage in. Like, what is this shape? Like, what's the shape that I've just described? Is it, I'm imagining it's something like that. But it could just as easily be like that. I think shapes like those are really useful. Really useful because you can use them all over the shop, right? One thing that I actually kind of phrase it as a negative when I'm talking to my students about figure construction, right? I do something like this. And I say, which direction is this head facing? This is the construction that I'm using for my head. It's a spherical thing. Which direction is it facing? And like it could just as easily be facing upwards as it could be facing downwards, as it could be facing straight across, upwards and to the front, upwards and down, to the right. Right. And on the one hand, I think as a beginner that makes it kind of a bit of a negative thing, because it's not defined enough that it's giving us any information. Right? And so you might say, well, actually, I'd be better off using a cylinder or a cube, because that has more information in terms of the direction it's facing. Like, my cube is definitely facing in that direction. But then I think it has its own strength. So when you get to a certain point, actually you begin to like how ambiguous that shape is, because you realize that actually, well, I can draw it, and then I can make my mind up about where all these other things are going to go, and the shape doesn't change so much. If that makes sense. There are other shapes like that. Like, I think the shape for the brow ridge, it is very much like this. So you might notice that a lot of the time when I'm drawing portraits, I'm starting with like that curve. Right? That curve is what I will tend to start with all of the time. And it's because that curve, in fact, let's use the exact same curve. That curve in instance 1 is a face that's going in that direction. That curve in instance 2 is a face that's going, you know, in this direction. That curve in instance 3 is, well, it could be a face that's just going straight across. But the curve is the same. So there are ambiguous shapes that I think lend themselves to sketching, because it's kind of like you giving yourself a little blueprint to then bounce off of, if that makes sense. You've done a lot of box silhouettes, but nothing more complex. Yeah, I think you can go more complex. You can. Like, that is a silhouette of something. Probably that. Maybe this thing going on back here, but and you get used to seeing the 3D, and it really is a case of seeing the 3D. I think it's why it's so helpful to do like life drawing, but combine it with this kind of perspective stuff. Like, a lot of the time I'm looking at someone on the train or whatever, and they've got like a big jacket on, and then that's coming out here, and no doubt they're on their phone. Maybe their back's a bit too big. And like you're seeing that shape, but what is that shape? Well, it's this 3D thing. It's all 3D in some way or another. Do I tend to visualize your drawing before you do, or go with the flow and let your lines dictate what you draw? Yeah, I tend to let my lines dictate what I draw because I have a really tough time visualizing anything. I hear people talk about that aphantasia thing where you just can't visualize stuff, and it's difficult to say for sure whether or not you would ever know if you had that, because you don't know what other people think. Like when I hear other people say, "Oh, just picture this in your head," I always thought that that was a turn of phrase. I never realized that people had like vivid images in their head, and it ranges from. I've got some friends and colleagues who, when they say that they're visualizing something, they would describe it as like, yeah, I'm getting like a blurry image, or I'm getting like vague outlines or silhouettes of things. And then I've spoken to my fiance who, when she visualizes like my mum, it's like a perfect crystal clear image where she can describe to me exactly what clothes she's wearing and like what the wallpaper would be behind her as she's visualizing her. And then if you ask me what I picture when I picture something, I still describe it as, oh, I'm visualizing something or I'm picturing something. But I'm getting like a list of attributes really. Like if I'm visualizing a face, I don't see a face as much as you would see a face like with your eyeballs. It's kind of just like, here's a list of things that I know to be true about a face, and then I build that up on the page, if that makes sense. Why I'm not selling classes? Because I feel like you have to have a reasonably established audience to sell classes about things. And I hate social media. I'm not very good at it. I just feel like my cringe tolerance is far too low, and so even like artists that I really respect, I was watching a Jake Don't Draw video earlier. I love Jake. He does some really great stuff. Good art teacher. Good video he was doing about the Arc Center AI nonsense. But like even the way that he was talking in that video, it was very like art YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber and this is a YouTube video essay, and I just cannot. Just the thought of me doing a voice like that cringes me out, man. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. I had to do some TikToks for my university recently. I don't like the sound of my voice in there. It's a tricky one. You have a couple of artists in the Discord that have aphantasia. You have the 3D model. You can light and turn pictures in your head. See, that's insane to me. I can't do that. Like but it's weird because I can, in the sense that I know what those things look like. I really don't know how to describe it. So I'm not actually receiving an image in my brain that I can see in any meaningful sense of the word see, that has different 2D shapes of light on it. But if you say, oh, a face lit from the left, I know what that looks like. Like I could describe it to you, but in words more than as an image. It's a bit like knowing facts about things. Like I let's say you knew how to do a maths equation. Like you know that to be true, but it has no. You can't visualize that in. Well, I mean, maybe you can, but all I'm doing is going, well, I know that this is a thing. I hope that makes sense. Prior to drawing, you picture in your head what you want a drawing to look like. Well, not for me, but for Horik, it seems like. Content creation is so painful. It is really painful. I mean, I wish I could. Maybe it's you lot that aren't doing a good enough job advertising me. I wish I could just sit and like stream all day. Maybe YouTube just isn't the platform to do it. But like I love stuff like this. I would happily just sit and draw, and talk about stuff. That to me seems absolutely perfect. And if that got me boatloads of views, then I would be very, very happy. You use yours like a reference. See, that seems insane. I just can't imagine what that would be like. The picture, your picture feels correct in your head but cannot be trusted. Yeah, that sounds about right. Art YouTubers are often going against the flow of popular YouTube. Well, yeah, maybe. But I mean, I guess a certain portion of it is like purely algorithmic, and so oh well, if I'm not doing the thing that actually brings in the people to watch the videos, it doesn't matter how cool the videos are. If I'm not getting enough eyes on them, it's difficult to grow or whatever else, right? Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I think that the one thing I've genuinely considered is doing cool streams like this and then just paying some kind of Zoomer. I say that in a really derogatory way, as though I'm not a Zoomer. I am the age bracket that we're describing here. But I've been considering just paying a young person to just like take my streams and make clips from them that can be made into like Instagram Reels and TikToks and whatever else. Because that's the only way I see this becoming anything. Morrow merch when? I don't know. I don't know what Morrow merch would even be. Every time you're reminded of my youthful exuberance, it surprises you. It shouldn't. I'm the youngest person on the planet. I'm younger than most babies. Are you laughing at that? Are you right?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I would never.
How dare you laugh at one of my jokes? No. People always seem surprised as though I don't act my age, but it's everyone else that's not acting their age. That's the problem. Yeah, I don't think you'd ever sell the classes based on the TikToks. I think the TikToks would just be like the most efficient way to get people looking at your stuff so that you could then do what I'm doing now, talk through concepts and like have fun doing that, you know. The subject of visualizing things, you can't draw what you don't know. Yeah, that makes sense. A toothless skull, true. True would be some spoons, a toothless skull. Toeless foot socks. I have socks on whenever I paint with my feet. I'm not getting my dogs out on my mouse. Definitely not. What have you presented me with? A Slinky the Caterpillar cake. Not
Yes.
not Colin the Caterpillar.
No.
No, the off-brand Colin the Caterpillar.
Brown.
That's great.
Well, fine, so you're not brown enough.
I saw this really cute dog. And it had the sort of this fluffy snout to it. I like these big bushy eyebrows. Let's reassess this. Tips on getting started with landscapes. You've been doing portraits and figure drawing for the past 7 years and scenes are intimidating. Scenes are intimidating. Scenes certainly are intimidating. It's very tricky. It's very, very tricky to do or think about landscape. I think that it depends on how you've been approaching your it depends very much on how you've been approaching your portraiture. You know, because I think if you've been approaching your portraiture in terms of line, I think portraiture lends itself to line, like figures and portraits lend themselves to line quite easily. But landscapes just lend themselves to shape. 100% you're gonna want to do a landscape with shape. So you could start thinking about it that way. I mean, I guess you could think about landscape in terms of line. Honestly, if you're any good at portraiture and stuff, I think the only problem with swapping to landscapes is just that there's going to be an initial time investment, and we forget that a lot of the time. So it's like, oh yeah. I've sank 1,000 hours into portraits. Let's claim that we have. And then you do like 2 or 3 landscapes, which is what, 6 hours maybe. And you're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, after 6 hours. So just be patient with yourself and sink a load more time in. I think a big learning curve with landscapes is that there's a lot more of a need for simplification. Like if you're doing a figure, you can sort of do that whole figure, and you don't have to simplify it an awful lot because it's one subject. But well, now you're dealing with like loads and loads of clouds and loads of trees and like a million blades of grass and everything else. You sort of have to find a way to describe that stuff with your own shorthand, and there are other shorthands from it, and you can learn a whole lot by doing like master studies and stuff. Seeing how other people simplify these things. No, when your socks are really, really sweaty and crusty like mine are, the mouse doesn't slip at all. So you need to wear a pair of socks for about a week to sort of prepare yourself for a mouse painting or a foot painting. Yeah, there's just a big time investment. And that simplification, but I think the time investment. If you're anything like me, that'll be what's annoying you. Because for the longest time, I had the same problem with a lot of 3D programs. Is I was like, oh, okay, I've sank, oh god, how many hours? Probably like 2,000 hours into drawing and painting. And that's in like Paint Tool SAI, Krita, Photoshop. They're all basically the same kind of program. And then I was really getting frustrated that I was swapping over to something like Blender, which is more complex than Photoshop, but not that much more complex. And I was going, oh well, I've just spent 3 hours in Blender. Why don't I know all the controls already? And I was getting really annoyed with myself. So I've got to sink in that time. Just sink it in. And the sooner you sink it in, the more you'll thank yourself for it. I like doing these. I like doing mirrored planes. They're always good fun. Ooh, wacky. Very, very wacky. Yeah, that could be fun actually. Maybe that should be a perspective exercise. with all like the half pipes and stuff. Like bowls. Bowls are always fun, I think. That's what button am I pressing to accidentally make my brush go into colour burn mode? I don't even know. I don't even know. No, it's not tab. How well can you draw a banana? That's the question. About that well. Alt Shift. Well, that does work. But my hands are going absolutely nowhere near Alt Shift B. Is it just Shift B? No, Shift B doesn't do it. Alt B doesn't do it, and there's no way I'm doing Alt Shift B. There's like a broccoli or a tree. carrot next. Carrots always have these hairy bits at the bottom. As I'm sure you're all aware, carrot consumers. Maybe this is the sort of soily end of the carrot. Next, you know it's gotta be our old friend, the potato. What kind of potato is this? Maybe it's a Tesco finest potato. Is there a perspective trick for drawing cones at different angles? No. I mean, it's not a trick. It's just draw in perspective. So, I mean, maybe if you really wanted to overcomplicate it for yourself, you could picture. Let's just get rid of this Tony Hawk skate ramp. You could picture the bounding box of the cone. Then you could divide the bottom and top to find out where the center line's gonna be. And then on these you could find out where the third line is. So you're going to get the base of your cone, and then you just pull the side up to that top point. But it's not a trick. That's just how you figure out what a cone looks like. I guess the trick would be draw a circle, draw a point, and then just connect that together. The flatter the ellipse, the more the point should be further away, but it doesn't have to be. It depends on the kind of cone that you're going for, right? You might need more information when you're talking about cones. What vegetables am I forgetting? I'm thinking this is like a pea pod. Peppers, oh peppers, yeah. Draw a head, yeah, and then erase everything to get a circle. Draw a full bird. Yeah, peppers. I'm imagining a big, beautiful, shiny bell pepper. Tomato, onions. Oh, onions. An onion is another one. I mean, this is looking a bit more like a beetroot or something. But you're right. What I actually need is like half an onion. The other half of the onion is going to be face down. And it's going to have onion slices. Look, it's got it could even still have some wispy bits. But it should have as well, it should have like, you know, that layer of skin that's being peeled off, or maybe that's already been peeled off. And whoever's this is me. Crying away as I chop up my onion. Oh. Garlic, turnips. Oh, there are too many. You're having trouble drawing birds from the front. Oh, you mean like actual beaks? I guess it depends on the kind of bird, doesn't it? They've all got different shaped beaks. You could have all sorts of different beaks. That's garlic. Garlic is just like a mini bell pepper, really? Like, these are cloves of garlic. An individual clove of garlic looks a bit like that or something, doesn't it? And then it gets crushed. Do you guys have one of those crushers? So it looks a bit like this. But then it has another part of it that comes down here. God, does that go up as well? And then back down? I can't remember. It's got another... Oh, I tell you what happens. That goes across to another handle, and you squeeze it, and all the garlic comes out in all the little squigglies. You know the one. A garlic press. That's correct. I'll draw a proper garlic press when I can remember what one of those looks like. Tomato for sure. A tomato is this kind of fat, round thing. We're all on board, right? This is a tomato. Again, lovely and shiny. What else? A turnip. I'm a turnip and the way I've drawn this onion and a radish are all reasonably similar. What are some more creative vegetables? Or fruit. I'll accept fruit. We should get like a... We've got some ginger. This is a knob of ginger. Pomegranate. Oh, we're testing the limits of my memory of what fruits look like. Am I right in thinking a pomegranate is sort of split down the middle like this? So that this side should be smaller. And then it's full of all these horrid little seeds. That's a pomegranate. Bonk. A considerably lower effort pomegranate than a lot of the other fruits. Pumpkin, lemon. Lemon's an easy one. There's a lemon. Grapes, of course, some grapes. Just bear with me while I feel the need to maybe make this pomegranate a little bit nicer. I feel like I haven't done it justice. Yeah. Grapes are easy. The problem with grapes is how they attach. You know, I think the grape branch is very wibbly wobbly. I think I need more overlap, like there are grapes behind grapes. And they always come to some kind of point. Someone wants a banana that is open. That I can provide you with. Did you know that bananas actually split into thirds? Even when they're like not just the skin. But I drew a banana. I drew a few bananas a while ago. I was making a D&D thing, I think. Where are these bananas? Here they are. These are banana mimics. These are bananas that are pretending to be other things. Or, no, sorry, other way around. This is a mimic pretending to be a banana. But it hasn't quite figured it out. So there's like the dog nanas. This one just falls from a tree and like eats you. This is like a little guy that hides in a banana peel. And this is just a horrific banana creature. Spring onions are very, very, very cool. They definitely have all of these like roots and things coming off them. And as they get higher up, they get more messy, more green, and as they get lower down, they get shinier. There you go. There's a spring onion. Asparagus. Asparagus are very, very cool. I just wonder if I'm gonna remember what they look like. Can't remember the last time I ate an asparagus. Am I right in thinking they look a little bit like this? Or do they have like those things all the way down? I can't remember. I might be thinking of an artichoke as well. Or an artichoke's the bit at the top, I'm not sure. Lettuce, yeah. Let's lettuce it up. Take our lettuce over here so we're not in the way. There's our lettuce. That's an iceberg lettuce, not a gem lettuce. I don't know. What do you guys prefer? I always go for the iceberg lettuces. But maybe I should be going for the gem lettuces. But I feel like a lot of the lettuces are a lot more wrapped up than I've made it. But They have those artichoke parts, but they spiral down. Interesting, interesting, interesting. A leek, kind of similar to a spring onion, no? Someone said pumpkin. We're running out of space. Let's move our bowl and our fake banana over there. A pumpkin, of course. They grow on, pumpkins basically grow on like a bit like grapes. Don't they have like big long like vines? That's my understanding of a pumpkin. Uh, uh, what else grows? Cucumbers. Cucumbers are easy enough. I have no idea what a zucchini is. Wait, isn't a zucchini just an American word for something that is not a zucchini? Is it it's not a gourd, is it? What's zucchini and the American name for? Jake, describe to me what a zucchini looks like, and I will. I'll know what it is. I'm sure. Cucumbers kind of have like ridges to them, no? Squash. I'll draw you a squash. So a squash is, it's like a pumpkin with a long end is what a squash is. That's a squash. courgette. Oh, a courgette. Yeah, a courgette is a... Courgette's just a cucumber that doesn't taste very nice. That's all the courgette is. Um... A courgette flower is big and yellow. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I would be annoyed if I got one and not the other. But I think visually they are reasonably similar. This is our chef, and he's getting a little frustrated at the amount of food that's being dumped on him. Like a Damascus steel blade. That would be really cool. Do you know what? I have a module that I run at the university, and it's called Fundamentals of Technical Drawing, and it's all about doing effectively stuff like this. Like, what's the difference between a boring and an interesting drawing of a potato? Well, it's like, are you just putting down lines that imply form or form turning, or you've got overlap? Maybe the little faintest indication of texture. Is there line weight going on that's kind of interesting? But I use like rocks and trees to teach it mostly. Rocks, trees, and skulls. But maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe I should rewrite the module and have it be like the whole module is you are a chef and you must prepare the finest dish for the king, and it must be as well drawn as you can possibly make it, and like these are the ingredients, and maybe I like invent some ingredients that don't really exist, or like invent some wacky meals that aren't real, and they've got to draw the whole process, like the ingredients, the tools used to chop them up, like as they're being prepared, and then like the final dish. So I think that means they'd have to draw like frying pans, and like knives. Maybe even like microwave. Meal presentation is also an exercise in composition, you're right. So I've had a whale of a time sitting here drawing vegetables. What have we done? What have I just sat and done for the past 2 hours? Oh yeah, I forgot about these. I guess I'll just save these. Last year I did loads of streams where I did these pages and pages of sketches, but I never saved any of them. Because I was like paranoid about them being like a nice presentable format, but I think this year I'm just gonna save them as is. I'm not gonna worry about it. Hold on, why is this one saving as a PNG? What? Because yeah, because this was fun. Yeah, I could. Right, I'm going to bed though. Yeah, I would like to stream more often, I think. I always talk myself out of it is the problem. Whereas today I've just like spontaneously gone, oh, I'll stream, and then done it, right? I think when it's like an actual commitment, then it's not as enjoyable. But oh well, thank you for joining, my beautiful viewers. Have a lovely evening, have a good nap, wake up tomorrow bright and early, get some work done. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we used to stream. I think that kind of thing would be nice. I think it prevents me from sitting here playing video games. Get some nice drawings done, and it's still relaxed and it's still fun. It's just slightly more productive than not streaming, I guess. So maybe expect a stream tomorrow. We'll see. Enjoy.